Hey there, community. Welcome to the Providence podcast. I'm Sister Leslie, and I'm so glad you're here. I hope you're having a wonderful Christmas and that you've been able to notice the presence of Christ over these holy days. We'll be in the season of Christmas for a bit, and this Sunday we'll celebrate the Feast of the Holy Family. Do you think of your own family as holy? They may not be a serene Christmas card-worthy family like Mary, Joseph, and Jesus, but I bet there's still some holiness. And, well, now that I think about it, maybe Mary, Jesus, and Joseph weren't totally serene and idyllic either. Maybe they were as real as our own families, and God is just as present with us as God was with them. As usual, we'll read our scripture and then move into the reflection. But this time, I have a couple of surprises. Two of my nieces will be helping out this time. Anna, who's the same age as Jesus in this story, will do us the honor of reading our gospel. And Mira will close us out. So, let's open ourselves to the presence of God in our midst as we reflect together.
Each year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the feast of Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to festival custom. After they had completed its days as they were returning, the boy Jesus remained behind in Jerusalem, but his parents did not know it. Thinking that he was in a caravan, they journeyed for a day and looked for him among their relatives and acquaintances, but not finding him. They returned to Jerusalem to look for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting in the midst of the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions, and all who heard him were astounded at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished, and his mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been looking for you with great anxiety." And he said to them, "Why are you looking for me? Did you not know that I must be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he said to them. He went down to them and came to Nazareth and was obedient to them. And his mother kept all these things in her heart. And Jesus advanced in wisdom and age and favor before God and man.
Well, friends, it's been another strange Advent and Christmas. At least it has been for me. This year, I've been able to be with more people than I could last year, thank goodness. But things are still not back to normal. The pandemic continues, and there's still that pervasive fear hanging over. Since we're having a second pandemic Christmas, I guess we can stop saying it's unprecedented. Unfortunately for us, it's all too precedented. This season, with the memories and expectations that come with it, often has an element of longing for me. I miss family members who are no longer here, although I do feel their presence with me over these holy days, these holidays. I miss the days when my nieces were little, even as I really love and enjoy the people they're becoming. Time marches on. This Sunday, we celebrate the family who belongs to all of us, the one we recognize as holy, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. And speaking of growing up fast, this year, with the cycle of readings and the way the days fall, we celebrate the birth of Jesus one day, and the next, this Sunday, Jesus is already 12 years old and lost in the temple. My, that boy grows fast. But don't worry, next week he'll be little again as he's visited by the Magi. What a strange, scrambled account of the life of Jesus we get this year. And maybe that's fitting. My life feels a little scrambled too. I mean, not in a bad way, just all over the place. That's a little bit about the pandemic, but it's also just the nature of this season. There's a little time for prayer and beautiful liturgy. And then there's also the chaos of opening presents, the excitement of little ones who believe in Santa, the gift of reconnecting with loved ones, virtually or in person. And it all kind of happens at once. There's a lot of joyful hope, but also a lot of big expectation. At least I feel like that. I tend to expect a lot of happiness, and that's kind of a lot of pressure, really. And I also kind of expect an idyllic scene, although I'm not sure why. I have kind of an aversion to Hallmark Christmas movies, and I know full well the events at the heart of our celebrations were not a bit idyllic. In fact, if we conflate the birth narratives from Luke and Matthew, which one should not do, but I'm going to anyway, it seems like the life of the Holy Family was an action-packed adventure, fraught with one calamity, miracle, and weird circumstance after another. I mean, just think about it. A journey late in an unexpected pregnancy, giving birth in a random place, strange visitors like angels and shepherds, and having to flee to another country to find safety. And here we are now with Jesus in the temple. He seems a little mouthier than I think the Son of God should be. And Mary has a tone when she finds him. The same tone any mother might use with a kid who gives his parents the slip like that. I imagine there's an extra layer of pressure on these parents too. Keeping track of the long-awaited Messiah is kind of a big deal. Maybe they're filled with anxiety. Maybe through all of the events, there's a touch of sadness too because things are not unfolding as they had hoped. Maybe they're even annoyed or angry. Maybe they resist what's happening. Maybe they trust. Who knows? But it's likely not how they envisioned their life. And yet they're the Holy Family, not because their life was idyllic, but because despite their difficulties, they kept going, loving God and each other. One could even say their life was unprecedented. I mean, except that it wasn't. As Christmas goes, it was the first. But families have been dealing with uncertainty, disappointment, and loss since the dawn of time. The suffering of families today feels more widespread and intense than usual as we cope with illness and death, job loss, and financial insecurity. But what's not new is that none of our families is ideal, and each of them is holy. Our broken families, our imperfect families, our grieving families, our struggling families, they're all holy. We're all holy in our striving, not in our perfection. And it's God who makes us holy. The reality is that each new day is unprecedented, and we are constantly living in uncertainty. This year, I'm missing some of my family and community traditions of the past. Although, as I consider it, there was no always for those either. The Christmases of my childhood changed over time. Each year as we change, our Christmas celebrations change too. The changes are usually more subtle than these pandemic years, to be sure. But no Christmas is ever the same as another. Sometimes we resist. Sometimes we lean in. But either way, life is always changing. God is not in the ideal. God is in the real. May we learn to recognize God's presence in all of our experiences, and may we grow in holiness. Like Jesus, may we grow in wisdom and age and favor before God. May we trust God's love, and may we do what we can to love each other too. And now let's spend a little time reflecting. Who are the holy families of our day? What makes them holy? When it comes to uncertainty in your life, how do you cope? How do you pray during these times? How has God been present to you this Christmas? What are some signs of God's love for you that you've recognized? What do they look like? What do they feel like?
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Happy Feast of the Holy Family.